Teachers on a master's course at Cumbria University are engaged in their practitioner research. They've chosen to do this through video.
The focus of my research is based upon a little girl who was a child in my class in the previous academic year.
And that one there.
Georgia has thrived in confidence recently. She came into me as a very shy individual, and the word I would use to describe Georgia would have been angry. But that's not part of Georgia anymore, and she's really developed in confidence and maturity.
They're all sitting quite very smart and behaving well.
She's really enjoyed using the film and the camera, and she really enjoyed going around recording the school, and she enjoyed the praise that she got off other members of staff, how confident and capable she was.
So now I'm going to go and show you my class, the one with all my friends.
I decided to use film because I thought it was a good idea to capture Georgia in different situations when I wasn't there, in a new classroom with the new teachers, but also with the peers that she'd been with throughout her school life.
This is my teacher. That one there is Hannah. That one's Billy. That one's Kirsty.
When we put her with her peers to be interviewed, she just totally came alive. She was much more confident, and it was nice to see the different sides of Georgia.
I decided to focus on a project surrounding the behaviour of one individual child, and that child is Georgia. Georgia came into my class last September as a Year 4 child. Georgia was very quiet, although she was a very angry child who sometimes let her anger get in the way. So we started to introduce some strategies that would help Georgia, and basically they were timeout, where Georgia just took a few minutes to go into the quiet reading area, the writing area, if she was feeling angry inside, to get it out. Georgia had a stress ball, she had a stress cushion, and we're very lucky in our school to actually have a sensory room where the children can go independently. And Georgia got used to using this of her own accord. So these strategies were implemented quite early on in Georgia's academic Year 4, and by Christmas time she was settled. She had a really good year in Year 4, and we had a superb time. So I didn't want all of Georgia's hard work to go to waste when Georgia moved into Year 5, and I was a bit anxious and a bit worried how I was supporting it. So how have you found your first 4 weeks of Year 5?
Quite well, I haven't been told off yet.
You haven't been told off, and were you expecting to get told off? Why?
Because we just felt scared going into a new class.
Why? What was scaring you about going into a new class?
Because it's a different class and there's no carpet, and Miss Stubbs has got a really loud voice when she shouts.
Okay, so was it the whole different sort of setup of a classroom? What do you really enjoy about Year 5?
I like all the different art topics we do and paintings, and I like maths because I don't like maths.
Yeah, okay, so you had a maths lesson this morning, didn't you? Yeah. She's working confidently in her lessons, and numeracy is fantastic. She's very keen to answer questions all the time, but I'm not seeing her take that into other elements. When I'm interviewing her, Georgia's very quiet. And I really need to see her own personality coming out.
Something told the wild geese by Rachel Field. Something told the wild geese it was time to go. Though the field lay golden, something whispered, snow.
I have seen signs of Georgia's confidence in terms of her reading of poetry. Georgia would never stand up in front of the class, let alone a whole audience of people, to read out her work that she'd actually done, and she was actually proud of her own work, as Georgia could tell you.
What do you like doing best in maths? And what's your best subject?
My favourite subject's maths, and I like times tables and divide them by 100, tens and thousands, but I've got to enjoy it all to be what I want to be when I'm older.
Do you actually learn your spellings and that?
I don't learn them, I just don't want to learn them, but I haven't got a choice.
She's very reflective, and I've had excellent reports from Mum and Georgia saying relationships at home are getting stronger, and she's using the strategies that she's actually learnt, and she's able to reflect on her behaviour. If she does now have a tiny blip, which is all they are now, are blips, she can take time to reflect.
In year 2 and 3, I can remember in year 2 when...
I've just interviewed some of your friends, okay, and I asked them to give me 3 words to describe you in year 2. So I took them all the way back to year 2. What kind of words do you think they might have come up with?
Bad.
Bad?
Mischief.
Mischief, did you say? Mischief, okay.
Very smart.
Not very smart, okay. What about sort of in terms of your behaviour? What would they have said?
Horrible.
Horrible behaviour. Bully? You think they would have said bully? Okay, I'll give you some of the words that they did say and see if you agree with me, okay? Upset. Angry. Unhappy. Those were words that nearly all of them said. Do you think Georgia's behaviour has dramatically changed since she was in year 1, 2 and 3?
She took it in year 5. Yeah. After she changed her behaviour, everybody started being more friendly with her and nobody was scared of her. That's why I think she's kept it up. Yeah, because like now she knows that she has friends that like believe in her, that can like help her to stop being angry at other people.
Do you think that was a big thing for Georgia Ashton, finding people who believe in her?
Yeah.
Is it sort of giving her a chance?
Yeah.
When we were in year 3 she used to be angry, but when she was in year 4 she stopped being angry and she carried it on. When she was in year 5 then she's funny now.
The children are nowhere near as negative towards Georgia. They're very welcoming towards her. They want her to be part of their social circle. They want her as a friend. And Georgia's now being somebody that they look up to, and they're not intimidated by Georgia anymore. And I think this is making her feel a lot happier to come to school and to give it her all and to just try even harder.
The course tutor, Dr. Pete Boyd, discusses the value of the research so far.
So do you think the study was about behaviour management, or was it about the way in which the social setting of a classroom can help children to integrate?
I think it was geared more towards the social side of the classroom, and now Georgia's realised that they are her support network. They're not just her colleagues in the classroom, they're there to support her, and she's found that more evident as she's went into the new classroom, and the children have really helped her.
At what point do you think she became aware of that transition, that they were there to support her?
I don't think Georgia actually realised until we watched the footage back together, and the first thing that Georgia said was, they actually do like me, and I don't think it struck her until then that they actually were there supporting her, looking out for her.
Yeah, I think that's quite clear, and they're very skillful in the way in which they manage that and discuss her behaviour in a really positive way.
There were some important, I think, ethical considerations, because Georgia is Georgia and she's in the video. How did you manage that situation?
Initially, I sat Georgia down and explained exactly what was going to happen, and explained to her that if I asked her a question that she wasn't comfortable with, that she could tell me right away. Obviously, I had mum's support every step of the way, and Georgia got to watch back everything that I'd done to make sure she was happy, so that Georgia was never put in a difficult situation.
Do you feel she was able to be assertive with you and say no?
Yeah, definitely. She did tell me there was a part that she didn't like, and she asked me to remove it, and I did. It was her in a lesson, and she just said, that's not me, so we took it out.
Okay, let's just, Claire, what was your feeling having watched the film? What's the impact of it on you as a teacher?
I think seeing Georgia at the end, I think she looked like she was quite proud that she'd been part of it with you, and I think that that's probably had quite a big impact on her confidence as well. So I know that you've used all these strategies and things like that, but saying to her, right, I want you to take the camera, and giving her some responsibility, I think that's probably been quite good for her as well.
Right, this is my head teacher, Miss Holder. Do you like your job having to do with children every day?
Yes, I love my job, that's why I do it. You wouldn't do it if you didn't enjoy it.
She's our singing teacher, and she looks after a little boy called John, and she does a very good job, and she was the one that helped us when we went to the that Theatre Royal for our poems. So were you really proud of all the children?
I certainly was. We put a lot of practice in, didn't we? But on the day, you all did brilliantly well.
And maybe for different difficulties, or children with a range of difficulties, you could use this video technique and research idea and involving them to actually examine their behaviour and their interactions within the classroom, within that social context, with a number of children, and we can all think of them for our schools.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's great. I mean, you know, we can think of videos being useful to teachers, you know, because the classroom's often a very secret place, and we don't, you know, using video can be able to share it with other colleagues. But this is quite innovative in the sense that it's allowing a child, and perhaps if we did it again, we would perhaps get Georgia even more as the researcher, as you were saying, Claire. She would be more in control from an earlier stage, because you just learnt that as it went along.
My little friend Kieran's big brother, aren't you, Dylan? Do you look after him?
Yeah, but he's off. But he's off because he's got a bad temperature.
Oh, that's bad, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's good news because he'll be back to school tomorrow.
As a head teacher, Angie, how do you feel about that message coming out of this film, about that it's every individual child counts?
I think it's a really important message, and you've captured it fantastically well here. You saw it in a social context and developing her behaviour, but in fact you've opened up her ability to learn, and Georgia now is freed up to actually learn, so that's impacted far, far greater on her lifelong learning than perhaps initially you were looking to impact on. You were looking for a behaviour change and a socialisation, but for her that's really set her disposition to learning and how she will approach learning throughout her life now. And I think that's what we're trying to do with every child. And this every child matters. There's no one size fits all. It's knowing children and knowing a number of things that you can do, and having that bank of strategies and tools that enables you to get into every child and open that up for them.
What impact will it have on your practice, do you think?
How effective film can actually be, giving it to the children or doing it myself, and actually just taking time to evaluate what's on footage. I think I'll definitely use film again, maybe not in the same situation, for different reasons, and allow the children to take more ownership of the learning.